I want to start by wishing a double happy birthday. First, happy birthday to you, President Donald J. Trump. You've been an extraordinary leader, decisive, courageous, clear vision, clear action. You have done great things for Israel. You've been an extraordinary friend to the Jewish state and to me personally. We've known each other for many years, and we appreciate what you're doing now, helping protect Israeli lives against the criminal regime in Iran. I want to wish also a 250th happy birthday to the American Army. The men and women of the armed services of the United States have protected freedom for 2.5 centuries. We would not have a free world without you. Thank you on behalf of free peoples everywhere. Today, Israel is defending freedom in the Middle East and beyond. We're doing so against a tyrannical and radical Iranian regime that wants to build atomic bombs to destroy us and wants to build ballistic missiles, including intercontinental ballistic missile, to be able to threaten anyone and everywhere in the world. By defending ourselves, we're also defending others. We're defending our Arab neighbors, our Arab friends in peace. We're defending Europe. We're helping defend also the United States, which helps us all the time in our defense. This is an important mission. Right now, the Iranian regime is bombing our civilian neighborhoods while we are targeting the terrorists. Now, this is not new. They've tried to assassinate President Trump twice. They bombed American embassies. They killed 241 Marines in Beirut. They killed and injured thousands of Americans with their IEDs in Iraq and Afghanistan. They burn the American flag. They chant endlessly, "Death to America." Our enemy is your enemy. And by doing what we're doing, we're dealing with something that will threaten all of us sooner or later. Our victory will be your victory. How do we intend to achieve that victory? Well, we've already done great things. We've taken out their senior military leadership. We've taken out their senior technologists who are leading the race to build atomic weapons that would threaten us, but not only us. We've done all that and many other things. But we are also aware of the fact that there's more to be done. So we're preparing. We paved the way to Tehran, and our pilots over the skies of Tehran will deal blows to the Ayatollah regime that they cannot even imagine. And I can tell you this, we have indications that senior leaders in Iran are already packing their bags. They sense what's coming. I'll tell you what would have come if we hadn't acted. We had information that this unscrupulous regime was planning to give the nuclear weapons that they would develop to their terrorist proxies. That's nuclear terrorism on steroids. That would threaten the entire world. This is what Israel is doing with the support, the clear support of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the American people, and many others in the world. So with God's help, and with the goodwill and resolution of all free societies, we shall win.
Yo, I wonder which God this guy is talking about. You look at this guy speaks, you feel the disgust and the hatred pull up in your veins, the lies, the fiction, the level of this guy is just dishonest. This guy is just, and he's fulfilling the mission of what they've always wanted to do, dragging America into the war. And Obama never liked this guy. You know, he was caught saying of the meeting, he didn't realize that his mic was still on. He said, "I hate Benjamin Netanyahu, he's a liar." And the whole Middle East was destroyed by this guy. He lied about the weapons of mass destruction. He has cases that he's faced with in his own country, corruption, charges that he has to face. So this is a diversion. But why now? Look at what happened in the US. Trump and Elon Musk had an issue. A week later, Iran had a dossier of what is happening in Israel. Look at it. I'm not saying Elon Musk to get back to US, he handed the fight. But look, you just hide these things. And also, one country, one little tiny country that is part of Africa, it's engaged over 12 wars in one go. Why did Iran so vulnerable? Mossad play in Tehran as if they are part of the government or their citizens. We need to ask ourselves a lot of questions here. These guys are busy in Lebanon. They're busy in West Bank. They're busy in Syria. They're busy in Gaza. They want to operate in Egypt. They're threatening this guy in Jordan. He's now, believe it or not, he's shooting down some of the missiles that are coming from Iran. All the Arab states that are in and around that region, they are so silent because there's a lot of covert operations that are happening there. Busy in Iraq, busy in against the Houthis, busy. So why do we have one little tiny country dictating the terms and conditions? Look at Iran. They killed the president. They killed the Qasem Soleimani. Now they killed over 12 people. The scientists, the military commanders. And he's proud to say, oh, we have taken them out. Now Iran is bombing our neighborhoods. But who started? Who started? So this guy is going all out to do these things for one and only reason, to divert the attention. But we need to be very careful in how we analyze this. We need to look at this in many ways. It's not going to end on how they believe, on how Iran, they don't think Iran is going to respond the way it does. I mean, it shot down the F-35s from US, something that has never happened before. One F-35, it's about 3.4 billion US dollars. Look, they're enriching the military industrial complex. So the money, it stays with the Zionist movement. So when you look at this, I remember I was having a conversation with you. You said you do not like the way Iran is doing. You even wrote in the group to say, why is Iran so mild? Why when they hit, they just threw 2, 3, they're like, no, we have accomplished the mission. One thing we did not understand, what was the accomplishment of that mission. It was a simple mission to check if that Iron Dome works. Should we want to come after them? So that mission, it's happening now. So I'm handing it over to you.
Yeah, it's a painful time that we have looking at them in short eyes because we were using lens that were not correct, without realizing that now the war between the global south and the global north has reached the level of uncontrollable. Because this war, to me, is not the war between Iran and Israel, it's the war between the global south and the global north. I was telling one of my colleagues today that when they are done with Iran, they will go after China. And because already Russia, they've started, it's just that they are not winning. It's unfortunate countries like South Africa, they are not able to see that because they continue visiting Europe, seeking for a partnership which will never exist. It won't be mutual benefit. The West wants to benefit alone. This war didn't start today. I don't understand why Iran bought the story when Trump visited Middle East, thinking that they are there to establish relationship. It was not about relationship. They were testing their minds. How do they think in this relationship? Are there opportunities for them to find one another and move forward? There's nothing like that. Israel, like I said even before, it was established. It was established as the state that will benefit European countries, and it's happening. Israel just want expansion. The stories they are saying from the video itself, you can tell that these are cooked up stories that they want the world to look at them as good people, but they are evil. Have you ever seen Iran going after other countries, bullying them, or we see Israel bullying other countries? This is the Iran conflict is an extension of Palestine. Israel conflict is an extension of Ukraine-Russia conflict, and more are still to come. Only if the global South countries they stand together against these evil forces, it will then that we will be able to win. Because right now there are no more uncertainties because based on what's happening, the global South is aware that other countries are next after Iran. So to me, I want us to.
But before you move on, I want to ask you something. You mentioned global South. I saw Pakistan has made a pledge. Maybe our producer can play that where Pakistan is responding, because I'm interested in hearing you talking about the global South countries. But what we see is this so-called diplomacy where we condemn. But Pakistan said we need to ensure that Iran is protected. We need to ensure that we need to give everything we have to Iran. Why? Because if they finish with Iran, just exactly what you said, they are not done. We are next. Yeah. So I want to, the question will come from there, that we do have this idea of global South. Who is global South? Yeah. What is global South doing? What is it that these guys are capable of? We don't even know these countries at global South, what, except for Russia, China, Iran, Pakistan, Hungary. It's also, but it's part of Europe. But it's anti the establishment there. So I want to see that
ईवान की वसातत से मुकम्मल यकजहती का इजहार हम करते हैं अपने ईरानी भाइयों के साथ, और इस आजमाइश की घड़ी में हम उनके साथ हैं, हर तरीके से उनके साथ हैं। उनको जिस किस्म की ज़रूरत होगी इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे, यूनाइटेड नेशंस पे या किसी और अदारे पे या इस्लामिक कॉन्फ्रेंस के अदारे पे, कहीं भी हम उनके मफादात का जो है तहफ़्फ़ुज़ करेंगे इंशाअल्लाह ताला। वो हमारे भाई हैं, हमारे हमसाए हैं, उनका दुख दर्द, उनकी खुशियाँ, उनका गम जो है हमारे साथ जो है मुश्तरक है।
Yeah, it's clear and straightforward. You know, I can't even breathe when I look at this situation, because it's our failure. There and there, we start trusting the West, thinking that they are there for us. They are not. Look at how South Africa responded to BRICS, the behavior, it's something else. India also, it's something else. They are not really part and parcel of BRICS. And through BRICS, it will be an opportunity for us to counter the power of NATO. But we're really not there, because those countries that were supposed to play a crucial role, they are really not there. And South Africa needs to be clear on this matter, that when they are done with the Middle East, they'll come after us. So it's time to use BRICS as a counter energy against NATO, because without us doing that, we won't be able to defend ourselves. So yes, BRICS really doesn't exist in principles, because we have principles that BRICS put together, and then expecting the members of BRICS to follow through, but it's not happening. And yeah.
But how come we don't have a military cooperation? Because BRICS is more of the economical part. Yes, I believe the economical part is supposed to finance the military part. So
Yes.
how do we get the balance of saying we have the economical agreements in place, but how do we move towards, because a lot of people are saying, how come we don't have military alliance in the BRICS section? For example, look at how diplomatic Russia and China are. One of them is being attacked. I mean, these guys, they will need military hardware to defend themselves. France, Germany, America, England, Canada, they are all supporting Israel. So from the global south, once again, because it is clear, now they're sitting at G7, they're having a conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation is not only about the economy, it's about more on control and the military muscle that they want to flex. So the question again, are the leaders not seeing that the economical part needs to be protected by the military muscle?
Of course, they need to balance their pools, because if we don't contextualize the issue of security within the economic principles, we're not going to be able to win. Look at the tension between India and Pakistan. It says a lot about who we are as the global south, that as we allow the Westerners to come in between and destroy the relationship. So it's the matter of us having some kind of weak leadership among the global south. I want to state this. I normally tell people that, can you look at China? I don't want democracy in my life, because it's not helping me. People are saying that the leader of China is a dictator. Let it be. The country is booming with everything. You look at Russia. Russia was nothing starting from 1990s, and Putin took it over. And then look at where the country is. It's developing. Here in South Africa, we had hundreds of leadership, and nothing is happening. Those who want to come and change the operation, they Westerners come in between and accuse them, because every time this story, regime change. Who are you to come and tell us how we must breathe? Because it's really unfair. Allow us to lead ourselves, whether it's democracy or a leadership that doesn't have a name, as long as we're able to move forward, because we're really out of order. We are not holding one another through hands to move forward. We are being manipulated because we have weak leadership. With Iran, I'm still asking myself a question. Why did they buy the story when Trump visited, saying that they want to have a relationship with them? Didn't they see this coming? Because actually they were supposed to have seen this coming. I remember we were talking about this when I said the United States of America has the power to stop the war between Israel and Palestine. They can't go to the Middle East while they are not solving the issue of Israel and Palestine. So it's an expansion, it's an extension of the war in Palestine because they want to dominate the region and then control every resources that is around the region. So we're failing to see that if we fail to support Iran right now as the global south, we are finished. They're going to come after us because this war, it's a war that is written in a book that from one point we're going to go to the next point and then the whole world will be complete.
I just want to indicate something. When the Americans met with the Red Indians, there was a deal that they were promised that they were going to be given their own land.
Mm-hmm.
They signed the agreement, but they did not make it to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
Obama went and he saw Gaddafi.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately after that, Hillary said, we came, we saw he died. They went to Iraq. They said there's weapons of mass destruction. Saddam died. Trump went to speak to Iran. While the negotiations are ongoing, they got struck. After the Cold War and the collapse of Soviet Union, they said, no, NATO will never move an inch in Europe. Today, they're at the doorstep of Russia. They said, we want a two-state solution while they are funding Israel to drop the bombs on innocent lives in Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
What more do you want?
It's obvious. If you can read between the line, there's nothing more the Westerns can say that is promising. It's lies after lies, destruction after destruction, using these lies. I'm happy you look at Putin when Trump gave a call to Putin and initiated the talk between Ukraine and Russia. But Russia was very, very sensitive on the call because Ukraine continued striking Russia, and Russia didn't sit back and saying that Trump has spoken. Let's wait for the negotiation. They happened to hit back. That's how the world must operate, so that these people, they stop their nonsense, because the manner in which they are behaving, they are like vultures, animals that do not have senses, because destroying people with their own resources for the sake of benefiting yourself, it demonstrated that you have an animal blood in you. You are not normal, because if you were normal, you will understand that I need to ask. We need to use diplomatic channels to agree into programs so that we benefit all of us in a mutual way. But they don't. They just want to grab and go.
They don't believe in anything mutual. They don't believe in diplomacy. They do not believe in anything that has a two-way kind of benefit. They believe in one way of doing things, nothing else. So this has become a challenge where you ask, for example, breaking news, Iran state TV bombed during live broadcast. Israel is believed to be behind this. Like we're having a conversation now, and they drop the bomb in the roof. Now, you need to look at these things. Maybe we need to give a background of certain things. Hence, now other people are confused that why Pakistan, being the Sunnis, want to help the Shias. The Pakistan understand that Iran has helped Yemen, has helped Syria, has helped Lebanon, has helped many other countries that were treated poorly by the West. Now, in this regard, Israel has always been in loggerheads with Iran because Iran was seen as a threat that needed to be eliminated. Hence, Benjamin Netanyahu initiated the removal of Saddam Hussein, who seemed to be very powerful for Israel. He was able to achieve that, whereby he's trying by all means to drag America into the war. Now, there is a little bit of the help that America is getting now, it's the Israelis that are talking more that together with America, together with America. But what are we getting from America? Hey, we didn't know. They acted on their own, but if you guys can cooperate, this war can end. Now you start to see the breakaway between the two. Yes, I'm told that from South China Sea, the Navy ships are moving towards Middle East, but the area where they need to pass, the Houthis are waiting.
Yeah.
Unless if they're going to go around, that will take them 30 days to go that side. Yeah. But if they're going to go there, the Houthis will be waiting for them. So the Americans right now, they will never ever admit to anybody that they're at their weakest. They will never admit that. Currency-wise, they are being challenged. Military-wise, they are exhausted. Remember, these people have been involved with conflict since Vietnam. Since Vietnam, they never stopped. Since Vietnam, there have been almost every president that came in, they've been involved with conflict till this guy today. And most people are forgetting who authorized the death of Qasem Soleimani? Trump.
Yeah.
Who coordinated the strikes? Mossad. Again, here's the question. These Arab states, these Islamic republics, they've been living with a python next to them. They know if they make a mistake, it will swallow them. Why is that their intelligence is so weak? I hate to say this, Mossad is the most effective intelligence agency in the world today. If they're able to go into the country, coordinate, know where the leadership stays, and kill all of them. All we see is strikes hitting buildings in Tel Aviv, in Israel. How come there's no drone that would drop exactly at Ben Gvir or Katz or Netanyahu or any of these leaders? How come, like now, they just bomb a TV station? Why can't they do a serious damage? Yes, fine. I understand that Iran is operating strategically. They want to squeeze this guy. Where the jet are supposed to fill up the refinery is gone.
Yeah.
One of, I think it's Haifa Airport is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The port. There was I think there are 3 ports. One, the Houthis shut it down. The one that they were supposed to receive food from, gone. The one where they're getting food, gone. You can't leave the airport. The airspace is closed. There's no food. There's no movement.
Yeah.
But in spite of all of that, look at, they still heavily shell Gaza and West Bank. They continue as if nothing happens. Now, I have prepared some things that you are not told. Soldiers are resigning in large numbers in Israel army. The damages that Iran has hit are bigger than what the media is telling you. The ports are out of order. There's a food shortage in Israel. The story finally has changed in Iran. It's no more about the nuclear, it's about regime change. So you're bombing because of regime change, or you're bombing because of what you call this, of the nuclear that you said they will inhale us in a short space of time. It is proven that whatever that they thought is there is not there. But now, let's look at the weaknesses of these countries that are fighting against Israel. Russia caught, in the past 3 years, Russia caught 18,000 spies. 18,000 spies were caught in Russia. Israel, British intelligence, CIA, French intelligence, all of those, they were caught. You live across from a country that you know if you make a mistake, let's question the security. Hence, you did mention in your comment that the global south countries, their focus, it's are they focusing at the right places?
Not really.
Now we are told that no, Iran is in dire need of military hardware that needs to stop this. Why now, when there's a threat? How come we don't prepare? Remember, Russia economy was bad, next to nothing. But when it comes to security, they were on top. Houses will have 1 AK with 4 magazines and a bottle of vodka, no food. They needed to die for their country, even if they are hungry. You will kill me, but I would have taken a few. How come these countries don't have? What do you think is happening? What catches these guys off guard, in your opinion?
I will start by looking at the behavior of South Africa. In South Africa, like you say every day, that the oppressor hasn't left the country. They're still operating. It looks like South Africa was never colonized, but it was only in the context of the economy, because we look at who's running the show behind the ANC. That's one example. We know those who are owning the economy of the country, and the president that we have is just a puppet, that it's listening to everything that is coming from the elites. Because he claims to be one of the elites, because he got enough money that no black person has in the country. So he see himself as a top dog, but the dog will remain a dog. He's nothing, because he's busy selling his people to the global north. And then you look at Iran. These things of the Middle East not being united against Israel, it's very problematic. You look at other countries around between Israel and Iran. They sold themselves. We can talk about the latest issue of Al-Jolani selling his own country. That's very painful, because when they are done with these other countries, anyway, the country is finished already. Saudi Arabia, and then believing that the owners of the money around the world, if they don't operate accordingly, then they won't be rich. So is this things of one behaving like a dog? You know how you give a dog food? You just hold it by your hand, and then you come and lick, and then the dog will come and lick, and then that's it. That's how you catch the dog. So it's really, really painful, because the issue is that we don't have leadership, and we are not able to look at the social milieu. When you fail to realize that the political matter must be contextualized into economic matter, or the other way around, because once you focus on power and then you don't look at the issue of the economy, you have lost it. So try to balance that. You ask a critical question: why BRICS doesn't take the issue of security into cognizance? It's because we don't see ourselves as united, or we want to go to the West and find protection, like South Africa, because I don't know where it's standing right now. And then other countries like Egypt, and then also the countries that are next to China, for example, they see the global north as the way of doing things, because you can't justify that China it's a threat around the countries that are neighbors there, without having a proof of threats that are visible. Because once they have access to those countries next to China, then China is done. But I'm happy China's eyes are open, because they don't allow that. I'm happy with Russia dealing with Ukraine, because they are not allowing that. But in the Middle East, it's something else, that they're allowing this small country to to bully them around, it's really, really painful.
If I listen to you, you touched on South Africa, but there's a message. Your story or your stance is that leadership is the biggest problematic area, whereby good leaders, for example, the political system in Iran, there is a supreme leader who presidents will be brought forward from different political parties, but Khomeini has to now pick the one that has the strong values and the interest of Iran for Iranian people. Now, but still, I'm saying, but still, I understand that your likes of South Africa, the level of interference is a lot. I mean, you had the whole IEC team summoned in the office of the American embassy to have tea and lunch a month before elections. I mean, they were given marching orders. We want this particular leader. So
the public don't know that.
yeah, they don't know that, but that's what happened. And hence, whenever you hear the Westerns or the Americans call for regime change, they did call a regime change in South Africa. I mean, save what was that march? Save SA march with Bosi Popichana. Now they used him, they dumped him, and Bo Julius and all these guys.
Yeah.
And people have forgotten that Julius once marched with the US aid money that funded that thing there, But they tell you that they are revolutionaries that will be paid by the West to march against their own people for regime change, but they call themselves revolutionaries. Obviously, sometimes to me, it's problematic. So I get that the whole idea and the problem. Look at the strong countries. In Hungary, you have Viktor Orban. In Serbia, you have the other guy that was shot by an agent from the West. You have Putin, you have Xi Jinping, you have Khomeini. You have all these leaders that are anti-colonial, sticking together. But amongst themselves, here's the question, amongst themselves, how come they don't have the security treaties like your NATO? How come they don't have these things to say, injury to one is an injury to all?
To all, yeah.
They attack one, they attack us all. Those guys there, because they are controlled by these two families, it's easier that side for them. Even the two families are not in talking terms. But once they have a common enemy, they come together, work on that enemy, and then they go back in their own ways. But how come this side of the global south, nothing happens? So maybe the election interference, the selection of leaders, the political parties that are funded, all those things can form part of weak leaders, weak intelligence, weak security system, weak economy, more borrowing from IMF and World Bank, so the country can stay in the back foot, where the laws have to be loosened for the multinational companies. So I'm not sure if you're sharing the same view.
Yeah. Look at what happened in South Africa. Do you really believe that it's realistic that the ANC is sharing power with DA? Why I'm saying that is because this is one aspect that the regime change, you can interpret it in different ways. The manipulation of the numbers, because they want white people to take over the government, because they realized that it's long overdue. They sold the country politically. Now they need to take it back. We look at the number of whites in South Africa. It's very small. It's a small proportion of the denominator. I'm still confused what happened. Even if people are elected to go and vote, but it doesn't make sense that DA is competing with the ANC. So this is part and parcel of regime change. And then you look at even the European countries, you can tell that there's this family that is running the show. They will tell you who must lead. Even Trump himself, he doesn't have all the power, so they tell him where to sniff and where not to sniff, because you can tell that even when he speaks to Netanyahu, it doesn't listen because somebody's telling them how they must breathe. So I'm happy with the countries that have pure leadership, that are strong. They don't buy nonsense from the West. They tell themselves that let's share the blood because we can't be bullied around. But it's a painful matter. But for the sake of the listeners to understand this, the Iran and Israel's war, Iran in a right track to have nuclear weapons, or is being accused of something that it wasn't supposed to be doing? Because you need to have the right to develop the nuclear weapons. Right now, it looks like it's a country that is it's like a virus. Once it has those nuclear weapons, it's going to be a virus that is destroying the neighbors.
Look, we need to go back and read about this nuclear program. And there are countries that have it, and it's okay. There are countries that don't have it, and when they want to have it, it's not okay.
Double standards.
JFK was killed while he was questioning, why is Israel? Remember that scientist who confessed that, yes, I took a leading role. That guy was stripped his identity. He was stripped his qualification. He was put in jail. He was declared that he's a madman. I'm not sure if he's alive or they killed him. They locked him up for confessing that, yes. And guess what? South Africa played a role in Israel having a nuclear program. We did play a role in that as a South Africa. Let me not say we, the apartheid government and Israel had a deal. Because even there's a rumor that even South Africa, we were heading that direction towards having it. Did we have it or we didn't have it? Nobody knows. Because those are the things that the new government, when they came, they didn't take anything over. They let things stay as they are and continue with some of the policies that the apartheid government that was oppressing them were implemented on them, but they are also implementing the same policies in their own people that voted for them to be in that power. Now, they came back to do a deal with the same people who oppressed them, to run the government together with them. Now, that means weakness in this country. That means we are now weakened. That means now we're limping towards a direction whereby we won't be able to achieve the things we've always wanted to achieve, meaning education, economy, security, most of all. Most of all. Look at how the whites hate it when we are about to get new technology.
Yeah.
They hate it. When Zuma was talking to Russia, no, we're not going to be able to afford. There were groups that were set up, petition, no to nuclear. But after Zuma is gone, the very same people are saying, no, our answer for load shedding will only be solved with the nuclear. So the issue was not the nuclear, it's who was acquiring the nuclear from who, from where. It can only be acquired in the West, not in the East, because the more money you pay the Russians, economically, they get stronger, so they can afford to equip themselves mostly in the security. How come the likes of South Africa, Nigeria, Iran, India, Brazil, Venezuela, when they have problems, they have to run to the master, either the Western master or they run to China? And how come they don't come up with things? So maybe we don't understand the arms race thing, where you are limited to have certain number of weapons. You're not allowed to do we need to really dig deep and understand how come certain countries cannot protect them itself. Why is the issue on security is so big that they will have all these economics and they will have everything, all the systems, but they're not protected.
Yeah.
So it's an area that we'll need to explore so that we can have a clear understanding as what is actually happening. Why I mean, you look at your South African military. The only countries that the South African military is fit for is to take down Lesotho and Swaziland.
Yeah.
Those are the two, and of which it's going to be a mission because those countries will fight back. Realistically speaking, we failed to defend a group of rebels called M23. Our people carried white cloth to say, no, we're here for peace.
Yeah. So Kokwani, now that Iran is threatening to move out of the nuclear non-proliferation treaty, what will happen? Because once they are out there, then they will free to act, and then what will happen to the treaty? Besides being a treaty that it's able to manage the principles, because if the treaty does not listen to Iran, which we definitely know that Iran is in a right track, and start favoring the Western countries, what will happen?
North Korea will happen. It's going to be another case of North Korea. Do what you want. And it will mean that, remember, geopolitically, you can only go to North Korea towards one direction. North Korea, it's got Russia, it's got China, like this. And if ever you want to go to North Korea, you have to via South Korea. And now with South Korea, they're in talking terms as we speak. They're talking. So South Korea was meant to be a rebel against North Korea so that they can use South Korea to try and infiltrate North Korea. Hence, you spoke of leadership. Hence, you spoke of the leadership style and the preference to say, are you preferring democracy? Are you preferring dictatorship? All those things. There's so-called dictatorship in North Korea. Security is tight. Security is number one. Each time there's a problem, they test. Whenever they're bored, they will test a new technology that will show their enemies that we are a tiny country, but we'll come for you. We don't need to put boots on the ground. We will send you a mail. You'll receive it. From North Korea to New York, within 18 minutes, we'll be there. So I was happy to hear a rumor that North Korea is saying they are ready to help Iran. But remember, Kim has got two brothers that are looking after him. It could be one of the brothers is the one that said, you will take what we give you, you'll have to help that guy because we are caught up. China, I'm caught up with this South China Sea problem that the Americans are about to do something because I want to take Taiwan back. The other brother will say, I'm caught up in Ukraine. I want a decisive victory. I don't want stories. I want a decisive victory. I'm invested here. All this time when we're preparing you, this is the time. If Iran wins, you gain. Yeah. Whichever way it goes. So that's what we want to talk about. We want to have a system whereby it must not be Pakistan alone that says we are raising our hand, we want to support Iran. We need to have North Korea. We need to have Russia. We need to have Poland. We need to have Germany. We need to have all these countries that once there's an enemy, they need to come together. Because you see, Germany, look, Germany cannot be counted. Economically, they're out. Military hardware, they're out. Germany can't last a week. 1 week. They cannot last. At its weakest. That is why, if America was this almighty America that people always think, why would they move their ships from South China Sea to Middle East? How come they don't send other things there? Why would they have one carrier to move there? What does that mean? They will never admit that they're at their weakest, but they are at their weakest. So the question will be, how come the opponents are not catching into that like what Iran is doing now? To study the weaknesses, hit where it hurts the most.
Yeah, I'm I'm reluctant to ask a question. What is that South Africa can do at this stage? Because we are used to going to the UN and open a case so that Israel pays, and then they don't pay, they don't give a damn about what South Africa is doing. At the same time, we have relationship with NATO. We are confused on who, we act like we are mistress of the sea. We
Yes.
don't want to, we're neutral, but we're not neutral in behavior. So I don't want you to answer in that question, but don't you think that Iran, it's now attacked because it's interested in BRICS? And what will happen to Saudi Arabia because it also demonstrated the interest on BRICS?
Remember, it's not only about BRICS. There is a rumor, allegedly so, that Iran contributed in us taking Israel to ICJ.
Ah.
You see, but we won't condemn, we won't say anything. All we will come, someone will say is shocked this has happened. Someone will say, oh, we call both parties to restrain.
Yeah.
While you're sitting in somewhere in Pretoria, in your living room or in your farm, you know, say both parties must exercise restraint. Iran was attacked, Iran must return fire. By any means necessary, Iran needs to defend itself. Yes, we are linked to Iran somewhere, somehow, but we are not in a position to do anything, because all we do, we talk, because our leaders are placed by multinational companies. Hence, we keep saying, South Africa is not colonized by the West or Britain. No, we are colonized by companies. It was Dutch East Indian Company that colonized South Africa. So those companies, the descendants of those companies are still here as the landlords. They dictate terms and conditions, what slaves should do. So the kind of leaders that we have, they still bow to Dutch East Indian Company in Stellenbosch. That's the reality that we are faced with. So a conflict of that magnitude, you have nothing to say. You know, that stupid American diplomat who said, we supply Russia with weapons. I was like, yes, we can supply Russia with sticks and spears because they might not have it in Moscow. But we're not in a position to supply weapons to Russians. No, we can't.
Yeah.
In fact, it could be the other way around.
We left with few minutes. I wanted to check. I'm sure this will be an interesting question to you. In this conflict, Iran-Israel, don't you think that we're going to be able to see some shifting on the global power between the global south and global north? I'm asking this in the context that, but I don't have sources, that when Russia started having conflict with Ukraine, Iran was supporting Russia. And it's an assumption that Iran is not alone in this war. It has its own brothers that is going to support it strategically and also physically. So isn't this a war, although people are dying, yes, it's painful, but isn't this an opportunity for the shift of power between the global north and the global south? Because we're tired. We're tired of the north bullying everybody. It's really, really unfair.
It is a game changer. I mean, me and you had this conversation before when we said Iran sent 3 missiles to Israel. They said they've accomplished their mission. And we're like, what mission? I mean, you only killed one person and nothing happened. But what we did not realize that there was a game changer in that. The kind of technology that they had, they're testing it with the Houthis. Now they needed to check the long range. They needed to check that this so-called Iron Dome, does it work? They found that the Iron Dome is not working. But what is it that they needed to do? They could not have sent one or two. It's easy to shoot them down. We must put a rain. So even if you have an umbrella, you still get wet.
Yeah.
So that is a shift. That is a game changer. For people, let's forget the Arab countries around Israel. All of them are useless, except for Egypt. Remember, Egypt, the head of Egypt, Sisi, and the head of military, they're running parallel. Al-Sisi is not in full control of the army. Ask yourself a question. How come Hamas, each time there's a hostage exchange, they come with new uniform, new cars, new guns, new tablets, new latest technology? How is that technology going in? The Egyptian military used the tunnels to get this to Hamas without the permission of the president. From that time, Mubarak was removed. There was a split in the military. But the military gods were able to sit around the table. But how many other countries where the military guys, like it happened in Sudan, where the two generals fought and then the population suffered. So yes, there is a change technology-wise. We've got the Chinese, we've got the Russians. Hence, China wants to ensure that it keeps Taiwan. Taiwan produces chips. Americans want to keep Taiwan, want to keep South Korea just for technology. So should they get control of that technology, the Global South cannot access that technology, and there's nothing that they can do. Last point, the fact that your colonizer has never left, hence white people will always be uncomfortable when there's a new technology that is coming into Africa, because that technology will work against them. How many people that resisted the Starlink? How many people? Look at how the talks about the nuclear from Russia, there was matches everywhere. But when the Starlink wanted to come, they asked for Starlink. They said, Elon, we want your Starlink. The landlord said that. So these are the changes that we are happy to see, that the Global South are fighting back. But the Global South, it's a global in the Middle East, nothing really in the South. It's more in Eurasia. Persians are the ones that are the game changers, including Eastern Europeans and Chinese, are the ones now that we're begging for mercy for help. Meanwhile, we've got resources where we can give you gold, give us arms. We exchange like that. But because the natural resources are owned by the families, we are not able to empower ourselves as a country as far as security is concerned and the economy.
With this topic, we can talk the whole day. But time is not on our side. But reviewing some videos on the conflict between Israel and Iran, I celebrated and I said, Iran is not useless. It's making a serious impact, and the Jews are feeling it. They need to start behaving like human beings, because right now they behave like animals, and it's really unfair for the whole world. We want peace. They need to do away with their stupid doctrine that tells them that they are the only children of God. So they can go to hell with their evil God and focus on nature, the way God has created the world with love for all of us.
Funny thing is that Zionists don't believe in God, but when it suits them, they quote the Bible. But
true.
Anyway, thanks. We had a great show, and we hope to see our viewers on Wednesday, same time.
VM Network, it's your time to tune in. Stories that connect, where we all begin. Laughter, lessons, journeys unfold. VM Network, let the stories be told. tune